Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Holly Fiorello. I'm the Director of Field Marketing at Storable, and I'm glad you're spending part of your day with us. Today's session is Right Move Storage, Darren Kelley on growth, efficiency, and practical AI. We're excited to have Darren here with us today for what should be a really practical conversation. Darren brings a grounded operator perspective, and we'll be talking about how he's thinking about growth, operational efficiency, and where AI can genuinely help day to day in self-storage. But before we jump in, just a couple quick housekeeping items. The session is about 30 minutes in length and we'll save time for Q&A at the end. We are recording the webinar and we will be sharing that afterward with everyone who registered. And we'd love to make this interactive. So you'll see a couple poll questions during the session. If you have questions as we go, drop them in the Q&A and we'll do our best to get as many in as before we can before we wrap. Darren, before we go into the questions for those who may not know Right Move Storage. Can you give us a quick overview of the business and your role today?
Yes, hi everybody. I'm Darren Kelley. I'm the president of Right Move Storage, and we've been in existence since 2013. I've been in the storage business since 2000, and so I'm kind of one of the ancient people. Uh, but luckily, I've learned a couple of things, and we're in 9 states. We have over 100 properties, and we manage around a little over 3 million square feet in storage space. And I lead the company, and I have a great team behind me. And yeah, we've been doing a couple days. So hopefully, I can offer you some tidbits today.
How did you find self-storage in 2000? I'm curious about that story.
That's a good question. My father got ill, had a heart deal, and I was working for Gloria Jean's Coffees around that operations side, and I just decided I wanted to get back to Houston and be around my dad. And so Public Storage was hiring, and I took a
Mhm.
job at Public to try a new industry. And here we are, all these years later. That was in 2000. I was there to 2009 and a half, and then I started this stuff. So yeah, it was a great
21.
yeah. And I came out of a lot of food service stuff in my past. That's what my degree was in hotel restaurant management from the University of Houston, Hilton College. Go Cougs.
Huh. Well, thank you for sharing that.
Hmm.
Uh, when you look across the business right now, where are you feeling the most pressure to improve or adapt?
Yeah, I mean, number one, I think that the non-controllable expense pressures on storage. Um, I learned something last week. The K-shaped economy was talked about quite a bit, and I started thinking a lot about it. And it fits right into what I've been doing. But the biggest pressure is operational efficiencies and curbing those costs. I mean. Um, we can't change those, the taxation, and we can't change the property insurance world. You can shop it, but they're pretty much all in collusion. So we fight all our taxes. So that's horrible. The situation, with the suppression in rents, them being suppressed down and compressed down to sub $1 a square foot even on climate in some cases, is just sometimes scary. I mean, in certain markets, it's devastating. And so those are some of the pressures I think that owners are feeling and and then, the whole data, you know, world where those that have data and can interpret it and have the tools compete much better than those that don't. And those that don't oftentimes don't even know what data they need to be looking at. And it makes it a challenge for independent operators versus, like, say, a third party company like myself, where we manage other people's properties and as well as manage internally the properties that we own. It's quite challenging. And so we're really big, in trying to, handle those pressures and adapt to what the levers they're pulling and pushing on the business.
Is this one of the most challenging environments you've operated in, or have you seen something similar to this before?
Yeah, historically, when I first came into the business in 2000, the economy was struggling pretty hard. It took a while to climb out of it. I remember them telling us nothing but security, safety, and rentability. If you and don't spend another dime, back in the day.
Yeah.
And so, and then when you look at the lending environment post 2008, 2009, 2010 with the big crash there, we saw the need to, bridge loans and all that rigmarole. It was quite challenging for all of us back in that time as well. But these times just shake out the operators, the people that can operate, that have been doing operations their whole life, that understand what it takes, hang in there. This is kind of like the big shakeout. It happens every so often in the cycle, and this is where we're at right now.
I like the way that you put that, the big shakeout, because I think we saw a lot of new entrants come in chasing on the heels of COVID, and this environment's really challenging who's going to stay and who's going to depart.
Yeah, and look, I always say plenty of pies to bake. I just gotta choose my flavor. I don't need to beat somebody else out of it. But we have to just be honest that it's very challenging right now. This is the most challenging I've been in to keep owners happy, to be able to compete in the complex marketing environment we're in. I mean, certainly, and no disrespect, I can't. I worked for public for damn near 10 years, so I mean, I understand, the how it works, right? They're not, the REITs are not bad. They're just they're a different section of what we do. And so, but they can certainly withstand the pressures of marketing costs and
Yeah,
cost per lead and all that kind of stuff. They can really do better than mom and pops can for sure. And even then some smaller group operators, it's difficult. It's a challenge.
it is. Um, Speaking of challenges, right now, I think we'd like to launch our first poll if we can. And the question will be, what area are you most focused on improving right now? And while everyone is answering that, I'd love to discuss that with you, Darren. What are you working on to improve right now?
Well, like I said, the operations side right now this year with the transacting's a little bit less than everything. They're not trading as much. Properties are not. They're trading, but they're not trading as much as they have in the past. Great time to buckle down, to analyze your system, to get your playbooks right. I mean, I can't emphasize enough that I think that people get going and they don't develop a playbook, and so they don't execute a system. And I always say, you manage things, you manage process, and you lead people. They're two separate things. And I consider myself, somewhat of an expert in the operations side and that kind of thing. Also with the side where I work a lot on leadership. So whichever side you're working on, you just really have to be good at it. And so I think that the operate, we need to have the right systems to manage, I guess is what I'm saying. And so we'll talk. I think we're going to get into a little bit more of some of that stuff later in this talk. But yeah, you gotta choose the right systems and you got to have them in place. And that's where I think right now is the time to buckle your systems, buckle your processes, and get ready for what's coming.
Sage advice. It looked like the poll, the area that everyone is most focused on improving right
Mhm.
now, with a whopping 78%, is driving more demand and move-ins.
Yeah.
Do you feel that heat as well, Darren?
Oh, unbelievable amount of heat. I mean, just every rental. I mean, the value of a rental is not, well, it's not quite what it used to be, but it's still pretty darn good. But it's not 1 month's rent. It's, 12, 15, 16 months rent per
Ooh.
loss. So if you don't compete for those rentals, you're losing a ton of money and you're failing. And you can't always outspend people. So that's what I want to say is that for the smaller operators, people looking to get into business, on a small $1.5 million type property, 200 units or something like that, you have to, you just, how you put it? I mean, you have to compete, right? But the
Mhm.
problem is you're competing when you have the larger REITs or larger mid-majors out there, maybe even large private companies are competing with you. They have a lot more, they can spend less and have more bandwidth for their
Yeah.
money. And so local marketing, getting really good at your 3 mile, 1 mile, 3 mile, and know every business in there. If you don't know them, learn them. So those things are huge. And driving demand, I mean, yeah, it's the internet, right? But he who spends more or she who spends more gets more.
Mhm.
I mean, and even in like, look, I'm a spare foot user. I've been knowing that platform since it was just started way back in the day. But you've got to know how to use that in things, and you've got to understand what your bit cost benefit is. Spending 8, 9, 10 months rent if you're one small person might not be the best decision. So it's just those kind of things, if that makes, any sense for the group.
It absolutely does. And I personally love that grassroots marketing is having a renaissance because we
It,
did
it, it
see a big
is.
shift to digital and paid, and now we're kind of seeing some of that
Well,
creep
and
back.
we're honestly, we're when you look at the various AI engines, and I can't remember all of them, so I won't just single one out, but we use them, and they're helping. I mean, they're limiting the amount of calls on our call center by screening out
Okay.
first if it's something simple that could just be answered by a bot, and they're comfortable with that. They're not, they can go to a live agent. We're just these are the things we're doing. And we're finding I mean, if you have a call center, okay, do you listen to what the people actually say to people? I mean, it'll surprise you. I guarantee you. Just start listening. I mean, I'm the same boat.
Yeah.
But and those are my people. It's my call center. But the sales process, things like that, refine it. I mean, don't lead with price. Don't. Not when you're having a conversation. Lead with the benefits. Lead with what you got and what it's going to do for them. Whether it be like that's why like on my side, I use things like ancillary revenue strategies. So like I've done that with like storage defenders like that. So Instabox, where we get the moving supplies, we can still get them sent to the person's home within 1 to 2 days. There's
Wow.
just so many ways to be creative out there to earn ancillary revenue against the fact that you can't compete. You cannot outspend the REITs if you're competing with them. You can't. You can just have a better place, run better, better people, better processes, better playbook, and compete. I mean, I guess that's a big word I would say. If you don't feel like you're competing, start competing. And that means there is no stone can be left unturned.
How do you run such a competitive marketing program at the scale you're at?
It's if you go on Facebook now, extras out there, they're all out there. They're using that, they're using social media. Look, we're out there too. On our side, I literally this summer I've got 2 additional interns that are even helping us go deeper into capturing more on Instagram, getting better on Facebook, more robust, competing out there, monitoring our competitive stance, checking our leads and how we're getting them more closely on social media even. And so we're having to do that. You can't give up on that. You still have to battle there, but you have to realize and make sure you're making good decisions with your money. You don't want to throw good money after something that really didn't yield. So that's why we'll talk a little later probably about, being careful with that.
Perfect segue. When you're evaluating a new tool or workflow, what tells you it's going to make the business better instead of adding just another layer to manage?
Mm. Yeah, you have to, and I have done this with like even like I say, Storage Defender was one that nobody had ever. I was the first person to use it, and then my senior VP Jeremy at his other company when he was there before, Jeremy did the same thing. We were battling number one and number two, putting it in. Now it's immersed in the companies, and I can tell you that we get a lot more per door than we used to, and those are the types of things where I've leveraged them to we put them in there to win. And so I guess recap the question for me. If you what do you just
Mm.
sorry.
No,
What
that's
did you
fine. No,
just
just how do you identify whether a new tool or workflow is going to improve
yeah,
the
you've
business
got
or
to
if it's
you
just you got to
that's where I
add
was
it
heading.
more?
Yeah, where I was heading. You have to test it. And so just pick a few properties. If you got 10, pick one. Put it in there, play with it. If it doesn't work, don't put it in the other nine. I mean, you don't want to expand a bad situation, right? So you want to make sure that you are really, testing those things. And I've started stuff and stopped stuff quite a bit. Um,
So don't
but
be afraid to test.
don't be afraid to test. Just beta test and not more than like right now it would be 10 properties is all I would try anything new in. And I've got 2 or 3 things coming up that I'm doing. But like, we had to find new ways to get people to understand how to buy the boxes through Instabox because nobody was ready for e-commerce anywhere in the industry. No FMS, no web companies were really ready for e-commerce. We need to be e-commerce right now. We're already behind. We should already be there. Everybody should be talking about it. It should be out there. I should be able to trade stuff. I should be able to buy stuff online. I should be able to have all kinds of cool stuff going on. But, you work with what you got. I just keep being a guy that pushes hard, and I push people to keep competing.
Yeah, we need those fresh ideas. Absolutely. That's how we'll all evolve together. So in our pre-show before we went live, we started talking a little bit about reporting and how you're using AI there. Would you
Mm.
mind walking us through it?
Yeah, I'm a quick early adopter, quick adopter. I look for things that I think will save me time, make me more efficient. And so I began using, like everyone else in the fall of like 2025, we all started getting access to like ChatGPT and all this stuff. And at first it was weird because I don't think I really understood what the individual breadth and depth of this would be. And now I don't know where it stops. Uh, um, but so one of the things anyone can do this. If you've got like 365 in your company or, just for yourself. For instance, let's take the email mire. We're trying to manage our emails. If you've got Copilot on, and it's free, it's part of the 365 or whatever you have, turn Copilot on. When you're in your emails, click the Copilot button. It'll open a prompt box. You can go and summarize the emails that I've had in the last 7 days and tell me anything is important in there, especially in reference to a task I might need to do or an appointment date, blah, 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 blah. It'll pull up the 5 or 16, give you a little summary. It's amazing how much detail it'll give you. You can go through 7 days emails by just looking at the most important ones, and it's very accurate. That's just something. So how long do you spend scrolling through, having to click in, having to read down to the point that's even relevant for you?
A couple hours a
That's
day for
just
me.
one thing, and that's just me doing it. What if you had 20 people in your organization and they were all saving 2 hours? That's 40 hours a week worth of productivity that could be gained. And then what do you do with it? This is where I see it fitting in. I see it not replacing people, augmenting people, letting us do more, getting more into our brains and less into keyboard.
hmm
So we'll
No, that
prompt, but we're not going to design spreadsheets anymore and stuff like that. We're going to be able to just tell it what we want, and then it can do it. And I know that scares some people, and I get it. But I'm literally into it. And so let me give you a perfect example. I'll blow your mind here for a minute. We had we took access information from Source Defender and from our gate access history. We had a theft at a property. We put in the rent roll. We put in everything into this deal and said, we had this theft of these 10 units, break-ins. Can you tell us you know, can you tell us something about this? Can you see any correlations, any similarities? Can you point us in the right direction of how this might have happened? Boom, comes back and he goes, here are the three customers that we would suspect would be on an inside job. It's tracked their access, the source offender on and off, everything. And it came back and said, here's why. Boom, boom, boom. But this person moved in here. Da, 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 da. And it literally, and the person, one of the three, ended up being stabbed for fraud.
okay, FBI.
So where are we going? We going predictive now? Are we going to start predicting people moving out, predicting people, or maybe we're already doing it? I don't think everybody is, but I'm just telling you, there is so much stuff that we're going to be evolving to that's very exciting for storage. And so those that may be a naysayer about it, I know data centers, I hear all the stuff, I get it. We'll figure that one out, I believe.
And
But the key is, while we have it, you might as well be using it to be more efficient, more effective. And there's just I mean, it's all internal as long as you're in your internal. So buy the max version. Don't do the free version because that you'll open up all your data to the world. You got to be closed. But I just telling you that I can see tons of this stuff, and not just BI. You can operate in AI. I mean, Copilot is closed. It accesses AI out, but only to get information, but doesn't send your data out, and that's what you have to be careful about. So we learned there's new governance we have to have. We're,
yeah.
we're learning so, and it's all real time. This is like all real time, guys. It's changing every day. Anthropic came out with this really, really great one and then shut it right down with Fable because apparently it was going to turn something on. There was going to be national security issues. So anyway, I get really excited about AI only because it's saving me time so I can do things like this and so I can help other people and I can help my team be better. So think about that.
That was one of the coolest AI use cases that I've heard yet. Did did you turn it into the authorities
Mhm.
and that's
Mhm.
how, wow.
Mhm.
It, I'm just, my mind's kind of blown still.
I know. I mean, it's just interesting where we're heading, and so it's going to if we play this right, it's going to be really good for a lot of people who want to get in the business, evaluate the business. I mean, for instance, can I say one more thing about that whole
Oh,
thing?
please.
I have turned Claude. I use Tracked IQ, right, to evaluate properties, and when people say, "Hey, should I build this there or whatever?" It's part of my platform, but I literally have Claude turned on with Tracked IQ because they work together.
Mhm.
When I'm in my normal Claude and I'm just saying, analyze this property, blah, 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 do a SWOT analysis on this address, it goes to Tracked IQ, which is the same place I would have gone, right? Gets all that stuff and puts a kick butt report together for me. And I did I just review it? Of course, you never send anything like here you go,
Mhm.
but what I find is that it's amazingly accurate. And if I'm 95% accurate, it's 95% accurate. So then I'm like, well, I should review my own stuff. So I'm just reviewing stuff it produced from the data that I would look at anyway. You see what I'm saying? So it's not like I'm saying, oh, autopilot, I don't have to do anything. It's what I would do anyway. So that's how I feel about that. I mean, there's so many ways out there right now to save yourself some time. And if you have Tracked IQ and you haven't put Claude connected to it, do it today. Don't delay.
How is your team at your call center? How do they feel about your voice agent?
Okay, so the way we're doing it, it comes in before it gets to them. So they don't really, we're not at the point now where we're voice is close. What now we're doing is we interact through the site or whatever. We kick in with the uh, it kicks in there with the bot with the chat. And so in chat, it directs them there and they answer their questions. But it'll refer them to a live agent and it goes through. But it's is once we go to voice, I think we'll even close the gap more. And I think we're probably a month away from moving toward that.
So there was
It's
no
there.
concerns that it was going to reduce their job safety or anything along those lines?
Well, I'll put it this way. Good people are always going to have a job. It just might not be the job that they originally thought they would have. I mean, gosh, I never thought I'd be in storage back when I started in food service. But necessity, life, told you about my dad, all these things
Mhm.
lead you places, and then you bloom where you're planted. And I think that that's where people, you know, just look where you're at. Find a way to win right there. I mean, that's what I do.
How are you using AI in some of your personal life?
Um, gosh, I have lots of custom GPTs that I put together for myself. I have a marketing custom GPT, CEO GPT. I have a CFO GPT. I have personal life coach GPT. I have a nutrition coach GPT, which I named after my daughter. So like my daughter's always in my butt. So about exercise and stuff. And so
Alana.
I just that way Alana just coach Alana, what do I ate this. Well, you should have ate this. Okay, sorry. It's just
That
more
is
it's really comfortable in
wonderful.
that zone for me. And but no, I mean I do that on my personal life if I need to write an email to somebody, about something standard or whatever, I'll just type what I in my prompt and then I'll let it craft it, read it, and send it. So yeah, I do a lot of that kind of stuff.
Awesome.
But it's just all of it just frees me up to be more in present and in the moment
Mhm.
instead of stressing about I got to prepare for a meeting or whatever. I mean, I literally took the questions we had and I have my own AI driven notes that are bullet points that I prompted to be into to the question. So it helps me stay on track with things that I want to touch on.
I love that we all get an assistant now.
And Copilot is free if you've got 365. You don't even need to get Claude and all that stuff. You can just start with Copilot. It'll do your. It also connects to OneDrive. You can just tell it go and get some stuff from that directory. It'll go get it and put it in. It's crazy.
So
It's not
AI,
hard.
yeah, AI aside, where do you see the self-storage industry going in the next couple years?
Yeah, I'll go back to that K economy that I said, that K-shaped economy. And those of you who don't know it, this guy was an apartment guru at the Texas Self-Storage Association retreat and everything. Were you on at that thing,
I
the
wasn't, but
talk?
Kevin was, and I heard a little bit about it, but I'd love to
It
hear your
was
take.
literally linking the apartment industry to self-storage. We know it is, but it was real like how we follow similar patterns and what's really going on. And it makes a lot of sense. Right now, we have two economies operating under the same economy, and we have an upper K part of the K economy that's actually, if you build apartments, if you build storage in Class A neighborhoods, where blah blah blah, that's all doing great. And we were not getting the rate we'd like, but they're surviving pretty well. It's when
Mhm.
you're on that bottom part of the K economy where the rising costs of insurance and taxation and municipalities hitting you up and just on and on and on. And the costs keep coming up, the revenue goes down. It's a really bad scenario when it does this. And this is where you see most of the people with the smaller size properties that don't know how to operate or are struggling with operations are really struggling right now. They're really struggling. And I think that's where a lot of the help is needed. And so like he talked about the word bifurcation that in the seminar. Well, I bifurcated Rightmove in September of last year on instinct, feeling that there really needed to be two focuses, not one. If you have a premier, we call it premier focus on properties that are normally staffed, like with normal staffing, um, that would is one way of operating, and it's great. It's a beautiful thing. That's on the upper part of the K. When you go to the lower part of the K economy, that doesn't work anymore. The premier way doesn't work under remote. So we established right move remote with an exclamation, remote done right. The idea of that was that I was going to stop at no stone unturned until I figure out how to do remote right. We started in small, where we started with only one or two properties, doing time and motion studies and trying to figure out. So I now have settled on a third party vendor for my maintenance and repairs, and they handle that. And then I have and it's third party. And then I have my service side and how we're doing it. We're using technology that's going to allow us to put the human back in to the transaction and actually do rentals with um, remote rentals very easily from a QR code or however we want to do it. And we're using Swivel has a thing called Spot. We're using that, and that's been really, really, really amazing technology to plug in between all this. And so the reason for the remote side was just really because it needs a separate tech stack really and a separate behavior process, and it's split. It's not the same, and you can't run it the same. So that's what I did, and I felt like a genius when I got here and I got to talk bifurcation. I'm like, well, I already did it, just kidding.
I'm
But
gonna have to look up the
it's
definition of
helping.
that word.
Yeah, it's helping us be more effective and efficient for the different types that we're managing, and it really made sense to me that the lower K part really needs help. It needs help.
Gotcha. How do you look at an operator and determine whether or not you will accept them into the right move program?
Yeah, the biggest thing, and it's still a struggle today. I mean, I have owners that'll pass check all my boxes, but then they want to hold on to it so bad to the old ways and the ways of thinking, and realize that everything's different now. We have to be really nimble. We have to be flexible. There's going to be experimentation sometimes because everything's not a perfect box, a perfect square or whatever, and they don't always understand that. I'll have owners where I'm killing it. I'm 20% up on income, and they're worried because there was this one problem at this one property, and we didn't get that hasp change that one time, and that's just the biggest thing, and so we're done. And I'm like, well, you know, so it's like that's the struggle is sometimes people understanding this technology and layering it. Sometimes it costs a little more, but the end result is the tech and the systems help you run your playbook better, and then you can be more efficient. But there is an upfront cost to it.
Got it.
So it happens.
What is one practical change an operator could make in the next 30 days that would have a meaningful impact?
Wow. Um, I would say revenue management. I mean, if you're not using a tool out there, and there are several tools out there, and Storable has a plethora of tools that people can access for these things for revenue management. But if you're not managing your revenue right now, if you're not utilizing, say like a spare foot and then a big foot, so that you're actually watching the bidding game and getting in on that. Um, these kind of things, and I'm not plugging anything. I just they happen to be, it's just stuff that's out there. But I mean, there's a lot of tools, y'all, a lot of tools out there. And I would say that revenue management one, if you're not doing that, you're not going to make it. If you're not revenue managing with sophistication, you're going to struggle forever. Everybody, almost everybody's that's winning is using it
Have you
at some
used
level.
AI at all with your revenue management?
Hmm. That's coming. We're doing some things on the side, like where we're taking our data out of revenue management tools and then plugging it into AI and asking it questions. And we are finding that there are additional insights we're able to gain from that, which I think is probably the next evolution. Everybody will have AI inside their stuff, and which makes sense to me. So,
Yeah, it does. Okay, well, thank you. We're at 30 minutes, and I just want to give everyone an opportunity. If you have any questions, now's your time to submit them for Darren. Go ahead and use the Q&A tool, and we'll go ahead and launch our last poll. And then while we're waiting for any questions to come in, Darren, I just would love to talk to you about how you're using AI in your creative life as well.
oh yeah, yeah. I'm a musician. Those that know me well know I sometimes just get obsessed about the whole music thing. I write and record music. I have stuff on iTunes. Not under Darren Kelley. I write for other artists and stuff like that. And so, but I love going to Nashville. I love recording. And so in the past, it's cost me a lot of money to go to Nashville. It's cost me, $5,000, $3,000 per song to get something, professionally done where I have like Jason Aldean's guitar player or something. Well, I stumbled upon AI now with Suno, and I have the Suno Studio. I'm getting good at that. And now I literally write my own songs, my own lyrics. I do all that stuff, but I'm using AI to produce it for like, you know, $280 a year. And
Wow.
if I played it for you right now, I'll send you a couple of my tunes after this
Please.
call, and then you have to text me back and tell me. But I'll tell you, it sounds like I just produced them in Nashville, and then I can say, oh, I don't like the guitar. Give me this, give me that, and I can just prompt it like I do Claude, and it just changes the instrumentation of my song. It's my lyrics, my melody, and all that. So yeah, it's made that a better process for me too. So
It sounds like it's rewarding.
it is very much so.
Glad to hear it. Okay, we got some questions coming in. From Colleen, what are the basics of revenue management?
The basics of revenue management. Good question. It's not basic. Just kidding. No, the basics of it are basically that you're looking at what the market is saying that you can get on a street rate. What your competition's getting. It's gotten into trickery. I don't mean that to mean sinister, but here's what I mean. Like some companies are and not just the big green one, but they're what they're doing is they're competing in their way, and they're showing a price of like $60 on a 10 by 10. Let's just use that as an example. $60 on a 10 by 10, and you need $100 on your 10 by 10 to make it,
Mhm.
but they're doing 60. They're not really doing 60. Okay, they're doing 60 for 4 months, and then they're pivoting to 120. So if you do the math on it, you go 60, 60, 60, 60. They pay 240 up front in one payment. And that strategy of pay up in advance or there's all kinds of strategies out there. It's driving when we're looking at market rates. It makes your market, if you just say, oh, do a rate comparison and tell me what we are. Well, then they're going to say, whoa, we're at like 62 cents a square foot for the market or 78. Well, no, you're not, because that's not the effective rate. It's the incoming rate. I get it. So you have to be careful. Are you trying to buy those people that are going to come in and you've got to spend a year and a half to raise them up? Or are you going to buy a person that's maybe $20 more and just take the 5 rentals versus 10 rentals, but you're getting your rate? You see what I'm saying? There's lots of ways.
Mhm.
So revenue management software helps you look at that. and be able to understand what the market truly can yield and what you truly can charge. But you have to accept having the most move-ins isn't the best thing if it's at half the rate. Now, you may say, well, we can ECRI them. Yeah, you can. But right now, good luck with that. So be careful how you build that model right now. Now, other times when things are really good, ECRI all you want. Right now, there are markets where you ECRI and you shut down. It's that difficult. So I would say that's the basics of it is that you're just trying to make sure you know what market is. If you can figure out what market is, then that's what you can charge. Then you discount only below that what you think that you can afford to give away and still make your money. If you do the other thing, you may be out of money before you know it and be wondering, my DSCR is, 1.1 and the bank's calling me saying that you got 6 months. So that's the basics of it.
It sounds like it's a balancing game.
Yeah, and the existing customer rate increases, that's the other side of it, is internally we want to gravitate everybody to that decided rate of the market. Maybe above it if we have a certain type that's really popular, climate versus non or whatever, but that's the basics of it.
Great explanation. Stacy would like to know, how do you figure out a staff per unit ratio?
How much I would have per unit, it's really going to go back to my financials. So I just bottom up budget everything. I've always done that. I say I want to make a 6 to 8% return. I want to make a 10 to 12% return. That's my bottom. And then I build everything up from there. And so maybe I can only have one person because that's what I got to do to get my margin. I don't know. Yeah, I let the margin tell me what I need to do. So there certainly would be an expense number that would come at a 35, say 40% OpEx or something like that. And then I would look at the labor portion of that. And I mean, after I get all my other things, I look at the labor, where am I at? Hmm. Well, I can't do this one. Or, yeah, here's how we'll do it. We're going to have to go remote. I've had several of them where we had to go remote at 300, 400 units because it just
Mhm.
financially, with all the dynamics, can't make it anymore. And so, been a lot of owners that had to switch that way.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Hmm.
Um, Here's a nice strategy question for you from John. For a newer owner of a small, high occupancy storage facility in a rural tourist market, what are the first 2 to 3 operational improvements you'd make before investing heavily in expansion?
Yeah, I would make sure, number one, that I'm doing rate management, which we talked about earlier. I would make sure you have, if you're a smaller out, if you're just running it yourself, then your labor is relative to how much time you want to spend there. But then I think the other thing would be, I would look for any technology that I could layer in that I can buy back time to focus on the numbers side of the business. If it could free my mind up to focus on those things that would drive my income more, I'm a person in general. I just don't accept mediocrity. Don't allow it. Just say it gets fixed today. And then if you stay till 12 o'clock midnight to fix it, you fix it. And it takes that gumption these days to survive because it's competitive.
As a technology provider, I approve that message.
Well, I mean, it just saves you time so you can focus on the good things.
Yeah,
Maybe retraining your
absolutely.
people or get more productivity.
Some of these questions are coming in. Might be more of secret sauce, but if that's the case, we can punt them. Jonathan wants to know what revenue management software you use.
ProRes. That's what I
Perfect.
use. I
Can
mean, that's a
you?
really good guy. If you get to meet him, he's a great guy.
Oh, and what's their name?
I met.
Okay,
That's who
perfect.
we work
Thank you,
with.
Darren. Um, Olga would like if you could mention again a list of the AI you are using for your facilities.
AI that we're using for our facility, Swivel, is one of the ones we're using. We're talking to different ones, but that's what we primarily put in currently in between the customer and our call center.
Thank you. And then David would like to know how you're handling rent increases annually, etc.
Yeah, there's so many strategies out there. It's actually, this is the thing. You used to be able to just set it and forget it. I mean, seriously, you could just say, we're going to do it every 6 months, or we don't do them but annually. And you set them, and it just comes around, and up there goes the rate increase. Everybody gets them, and then you move on. You always did them right before summer because that's when you're going to get your most activity to handle the people who
Yeah.
leave. Not that way anymore. Now it is every month, every single month with the rate increase. I mean, every week, sometimes multiple times a week with the rate increase and stuff going on. I mean, as far as sorry, the incoming rates, the web rates. And then on the ECRI every month, just on their anniversary, when they're coming up on their time, it's their 6 month window. So I'm pretty much really doing more like in most markets, 6 and 6. That's what we've pretty much been doing. We have that are more solid where we'll go 4 and then 6. I've had some that have done 4, 4 and then 6 because if we were getting a 30% discount, I needed to get it a
Get
little bit
up
more
that free
up
rate.
faster. That's what you're trying to do is gauge that ECRI increase, give that person a window that actually they're not going to leave. You don't want them to leave, especially this guy that was on earlier from the rural stuff. Trust me, on that tertiary stuff we manage, be real careful. Be real. Make sure you're very educated. That's why I recommend some kind of, software that help you. It's too much. Even on like 200, 300 unit property is still too much to try to manage, I think.
Very, very good advice. Wow. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. Darren, thank you so much. You are a wealth of information, very enjoyable,
Glad to
and I
help.
appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
And then to everyone else, Darren, how can they find you?
You can always reach me, D Kelly, DKELLEY. Well, make sure you get the EY, at rightmovestores.com. And just put something in the subject line that says, "Hey, I saw you on the webinar," and I'll be glad to answer any question that you have. I mean, it's a like I said before, rising tides lift all ships, and you don't need to eat other people's pies. You can bake your own. Just get real, get with it, start
I
figuring
have
it
a
out.
t-shirt that says that.
Bake more pies.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everybody. Thanks,
Bye,
Darren.
everybody. Thank you.
Bye.